You're not cold. You're not just introverted. You're not too sensitive.
You're just carrying trauma responses that once kept you safe, but now keep you stuck. And it's costing you a lot more than you think.
Welcome back to the Touch My Health podcast. My name is Matt.
I'm Katie.
Today we're going to be talking about trauma responses, and we're going to give you some experiences that we've went through, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, just some of the things we've learned researching trauma responses, but also in our own past, on our own past life. Yeah,
Yes,
our
it
own
was our
past
past
life.
life.
Yeah,
I was once that other person, and now I am a new person.
right. But trauma responses is something that you don't think about too often, or at least I think people don't think about too often. I know I didn't. I don't know about you, but
No, you don't think about it, but it definitely is in the back of your mind, but I don't think it's a forefront thought.
right. So when I think of a trauma response, I think of how your mind and body learn to protect you
Hmm.
in unsafe or stressful situations. So to me, when I think of trauma responses, that's kind of the definition that I give it. But when you think of a trauma response, what's like the first thing you think of?
The first thing I think of is the way that you react to a situation. Like you said, a stressful situation, a tough situation. When you're met with some sort of drama or some sort of confrontation, that trauma response from your childhood or past experiences will dictate or can dictate how you respond in that situation.
Yeah.
That's how I think of trauma response because coming from a childhood of a lot of violence,
Hmm.
I was abused as a child, physically by my mother. Uh, and in turn, I fought at school and I fought kids at school. So my normal trauma response is that fight trauma response.
You're
It's just
uh,
natural.
so this was something that I found interesting when I was doing a little bit of research into trauma responses. You think of fight or flight mode, right?
Yeah.
Well, they say there's four now. I don't know if there was always four and I just didn't know that, or people just always say fight or flight mode.
I've
But
only heard
there-
fight or flight mode.
so they when you want to say they and there are four trauma responses. It's fight or flight and freeze and fawn.
Freeze and fawn are the other two.
Yeah,
Flawn or fawn?
fawn,
Fawn,
like
like
a
a deer.
yes, like a baby deer, right?
Baby deer.
Baby
Yeah.
deer. Um, now I lost my train of thought. I forgot where I was going with that, but you were saying something. Oh, yes, you fighting in school. That was so you were much more in the trauma response of the fight out of the fight or flight, freeze, fawn. So
Yes.
obviously fight is your trauma response, your instinct is in a situation is to fight. Flight,
Hmm.
it's to run away. Freeze is to basically shut down. And
Right.
then fawn is people pleasing in a sense.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
The freezing where you just shut down.
I do that.
Yeah,
I have done that.
that's my experience with past relationships where I was more of the aggressor or more of the aggressive type in a confrontation
That's not
or
surprising.
an argument, right? I had more of an aggressive tone, and as soon as it got to a difficult situation, my ex would just shut down and not talk. So
That's
I have learned that because of my past experiences, my trauma response was
Is fight.
fight because I am going to hurt you before you hurt me. And I've always kind of kept that wall up just out of
Yeah.
natural.
You're perfectly fine with confrontation. You are perfectly fine with aggression and, um, yeah, and almost like you said, keeping the wall up because you're going to make sure that you hurt the other person before you get hurt, which sometimes leads you to self-sabotage.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I
and I was definitely the freeze because as soon as you get aggressive, and I'm not saying you like you've never got aggressive with me, but in past relationships or in general, if someone gets aggressive with me or very confrontational or starts screaming at me, I'm going to shut down. Now, if I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm being physically threatened, then
Mhm.
no, I'm going to fight and I'll beat your ass. But like if with my partner, if we're in an argument and you start screaming at me, oh, I'm done. I'm shutting down. I'm not talking to you. Like that conversation's
And then
over.
do you run into flight mode? I mean, can you transition between the two in that situation where you shut down because the person is being aggressive or has an aggressive tone, and
Yeah.
instead of, you shut down and then you transition to flight, you're like, fuck this, I'm out of here, right?
Well, I don't remember. I'm not saying that can't happen or hasn't, but I don't remember that. For me in a relationship, when you start yelling at me,
Hmm.
I'm, I'm, I'm shutting down. I'm no longer, because the communication to me is not, I'm not going to sit here and get into a screaming match with you. And
Right.
if you get me to the point where I am turning to fight then and I'm in a screaming match with you, like we're not even at that point arguing about the issue at hand. It's like who can be louder and who can hurt who
Oh
more and
yeah.
all that.
Yeah,
So,
you get into those screaming matches, and then words get thrown around that are, just mean and ugly, and 99% of the time you don't mean it.
right.
Start calling names and
hmm I would say the two that I relate to the most are the freeze and the fawn because I'm also definitely a people pleaser. Like that was something I had to work really hard and it's cost me a lot people pleasing because I've stayed in situations and done things that I should not have to my own detriment because I was people pleasing because I was fearful of, rejection or abandonment or whatever the case may be at the time, but or like scared of not being loved. I mean, I've people pleased when it comes to doing things for my children because I just, want to do things for my kids and I'm like, there's that fear they won't love me, which is silly.
and
But
it's and
those are
it's
real responses.
it is, and it's more than just putting other people first. It goes above that, and a lot of times I see it with you also as you're people pleasing when it comes to the girls too, but you will or you will put that person's needs ahead of yours and do whatever you can to make sure that they're taken care of. Meanwhile, you're almost detrimental to yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can definitely relate to those two the most. I, so I had like some things written down too. What what those kind of look like.
What the four trauma responses look like?
Yeah, yeah, like
Okay.
people pleasing. It looks like kindness,
Hmm.
but it's most likely a fear of conflict or a fear of rejection.
Yeah.
I know mine is definitely from a fear of abandonment and rejection too. And I think a lot of that has to do with childhood like
Could
a
be childhood
traumatic
trauma. Yeah.
events and
Mm.
things like that. Overachieving. So, driven and successful, but it's rooted in that you feel like you have to prove your worth. So if you're a
Damn
super big
overachievers.
overachiever, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Those people are the worst to work with, the overachievers.
I mean, and sometimes when you're an overachiever, I'm not saying every person that's an overachiever is like it's a trauma
It's
response, Yeah, but if you're an overachiever because you feel like you have to do that to prove your worth, then there's probably some reflection there that should happen.
Yeah,
Hype,
definitely.
I also feel this one, hyper independence. I don't need anyone, which often means you learned not to rely on others. And yes, I felt that one very,
Oops.
very much. Yes, like
Yeah.
extremely hyper independent. I'm an independent woman. I don't need no man.
Lies.
I actually, what did I just need you for earlier? Babe, I need you to grab this jar.
Yeah.
Actually, what did I say?
You
I
need
said I needed your extra 4 inches. And then after I said it, I was like,
Yeah, I told you you
I
can't
meant
have that right
height.
now.
I meant height. You're taller than me.
Yeah.
I've, well, you're actually 6 inches taller than me. I should have said I need your extra 6 inches. Sorry.
Couldn't have had that either.
I mean, I did already, but whatever. Oh, perfectionism. So aiming high, but terrified of making mistakes because mistakes mean
Hmm.
danger.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
can't relate to that one at all. I am not a perfectionist. I think I
I definitely am not
don't
either.
have that.
I'm more of the it's good enough. I
Right.
get to the
It's great. It's
That's
fine.
why I feel like a lot of artists maybe are this or writers, and which is an artist in a sense, but perfectionism is definitely one of those artist type because you want to perfect it. Where I don't paint, I don't color, I don't want to do any of that. It's
I'm just happy if I complete a task.
like,
Like I'm just
yeah, that's good enough.
like, and if I get it done on time, double whammy. Withdrawing isolation. So I'm just introverted.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just safer to be alone.
That is a fear of peopling, being introverted. And, it is a part of somebody's personality, but
Me.
it can't, you can't live there. You
No.
can't live as an introvert, and be by yourself all the time. It's unhealthy.
Yeah. I wouldn't say my introvertedness is a trauma response because I don't feel like I'm just introverted because it's safer to be alone. That's not where
Yep.
mine comes from. So I think that's another one that you would have to really reflect and look on why, you are withdrawing and
Hmm.
going into isolation.
A lot of that introverted type of behavior can lead to depression because you're so
Yeah.
isolated or you have isolated yourself for so long, and it can lead to depression and manic and so many other things.
Oh yeah. What's that? It's a phobia. Is it agoraphobia? Agoraphobia, like the where you're scared to go outside, like you physically can't leave your house.
Jesus. And I don't, all I know is arachnophobia. That's my fear of
I
spiders.
I think
Did you ever
I
see
can
that
look it
movie
up.
Arachnophobia?
Hell no.
Oh, it was the worst.
I don't do
Oh God.
spiders. No.
It was like a late 80s or early 90s movie, and it
No.
was
I did not. But there is a movie. Okay. I gotta look this up. There's a movie about a woman who has, I want to say it's called agoraphobia.
and
I'm
that's the
gonna
fear
look
of
it up.
going outside.
Fear of places and situations that might cause panic, helplessness, or embarrassment. It's an anxiety disorder that often develops. Um, yeah, they stay like in, normally it's their home, their place of dwelling, but they have a severe fear of like going outside
Oh
or
my God, I couldn't even
going.
imagine.
But there was a movie.
I would die if I couldn't go outside. If I was fearful, I mean, I think I would literally just pass away. No vitamin D, no beach, no grass, no, no.
Hank something. I'll look up his name later. A criminal psychologist who turned agoraphobic after a murder attempt attempts to help. Two San Francisco detectives. It's a really good
Oh,
movie.
that's different. Where your fear
Who's
of
that
going
guy?
outside, I don't know celebrities, babe.
Oh my gosh.
I
Anyways,
have no idea.
it's about agoraphobia. It's a
Guy
good
with a
movie.
face.
Look it up.
He's got eyebrows. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, yes, being withdrawn, isolation can cause depression and agoraphobia, I think,
Hmm.
anyways. So, over control is another one. So, always needing to plan everything or be in control because chaos used to hurt you. No, 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 no.
Really?
Don't you look at me. Don't look at me.
I must plan everything.
That is not true.
Mm, I don't know about that.
No. I would not say that as a trauma response.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought your notes on your phone said that.
It didn't say it was trauma response for me.
The over planning?
I don't think I overplan.
Okay.
How do I overplan,
For
babe?
a
Tell me how
non-planner,
I overplan.
for a
Give me an example.
non-planner, when you want to plan out hours of the day, I'm a non-planner. So
Yes,
that to
you
me
are.
is over planning.
But like, are you referring to what? Where would you say I'm an over planner, I guess, to where I have to have control?
Where you have to have control. I don't think that there's
You just think I'm an over
a
planner.
spot that I can remember where you over planned, but I mean, you're constantly planning, constantly.
Well, I have a lot going on. That's to organize to keep myself sane.
Yeah. But I don't think you qualify as a over planner for the reason of being controlling. I don't think that,
Because of a trauma response. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't think so either.
that doesn't make sense for you.
We can't all be just fly by the seat of our pants people, babe.
It's a way stress less life.
Yeah,
Try it
well,
out.
that is your opinion because I am way more stressed when
Like, what are you
there's
doing
not a
today? I
plan.
don't know. I
Can
might
we at
be.
least have a game plan, an outline, something? Can we?
I'm gonna eat today. I know that.
What's one trait that you used to think was just part of your personality, but then later realized like it's more of a trauma response, survival mode?
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, my fight mode was always turned on because that was where I lived. That was my everyday. And growing up, I didn't realize, that I was just in survival mode. I just assumed that I liked fighting. I didn't
Like
mind.
punching people.
Yeah, I didn't mind confrontation. I still don't, but I don't seek that out now. I have a lot to lose now. If
Yeah.
I were to get into a fight and go to jail and all, no, I'm not doing that. There's too much to lose now as an adult. So that fight or flight, I would say through my therapy and through some of that self-realization, have figured out and done enough research where I've learned my trauma response is the fight because of my background growing up, where I was, fighting at school. I was fighting for money. I was fighting with my mother. She was beating my ass. So violence was just normal for me. And now that I'm not a violent person, I still don't mind getting into confrontations or having those tough discussions. But as far as it being violent and that, that's not ever going to happen. So when did I realize that it wasn't part of my personality? I realized it through therapy. And just as you get older, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 41, almost 42 as I've
Damn.
gotten old ass.
Hmm.
As I've gotten older, I mean, you just
I think you grow up a
grow
little. Well,
up and
hopefully, some
mature and you
people.
grow out of things, and I've definitely grown out of fighting for sure.
Right. I mean, part of growing up hopefully people start to realize like, hey, I'm a grown adult now. I probably shouldn't be fighting over stupid shit,
Yeah.
and also not putting yourself in positions to where the environment just is conducive for
Oh,
fighting.
yeah.
Like going to certain bars or certain locations or certain places that there's arrogant young assholes there that are probably going to trigger your
Oh, yeah.
trauma response. Like we don't
Yeah.
we don't do that. We don't go there. We don't
No.
put ourselves in
I'm not going
you don't put
to
yourselves in
I'm
that
not
position.
going to 6th Street in Austin to go down to those college bars and deal with drunk college kids and hell to the nah.
Yeah, there's places around here that we just on the weekends,
Oh, yeah.
no, it's not worth it. Like
Nope.
let the youngins
You'll
have
have
it,
fun. Yeah.
have fun.
Because somebody is going to be a drunken buffoon and it's going to piss me off. And then I'm going to have to make that decision, fight or flight. And I just rather not put myself in that situation. And I talk to my buddy a lot about that. I'm like, dude, you'd never go outside. He's like, yeah, because I know when I go outside,
Bad
good,
shit
yeah,
happen.
good things don't normally tend to happen, you know?
Yeah, that's good self-reflection there and growing up. Like, listen, I don't need to be doing these things. And me trying to figure out because I don't have that. Like, it's not as cut and dry like line in the sand. I think for me.
Hmm.
Um, People pleasing and shutting down. I mean, I have taken myself out of the situations to where I was involved with people who would trigger my freeze, who would scream and yell at me and then I'd shut down.
Right.
So, and I made that very clear to you, like we don't do that.
No,
If you do that, I will shut down and we won't have a conversation. We won't get anywhere. It's just not going to happen for me. And people pleasing is something I still work on, but it's hard to take myself out of those situations because they're unavoidable almost sometimes.
sure.
It's
Yeah.
not so much like just don't go here or don't do this.
Well, people pleasing there can be a healthy and an unhealthy, so long as it's not detrimental to your own self
Yeah, I mean
and your own mental health.
there's a difference from just being kind and selfless to just giving everything to someone else and giving nothing to yourself because you're scared of rejection or
Right.
abandonment or whatever the case may
Or
be.
not getting anything in return. A relationship, be it friendship or
Family.
romantic or family, every relationship has to have a give and a take. And when you're a people pleaser, you're only giving.
Yeah.
Everybody else is taking from you, and you have to realize that you're not getting anything back.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean gifts. It doesn't mean it's emotional. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're always the one having to go to your friend's house, if they're never calling you up first to come and hang out, those are that kind of people pleasing moments that you've got to do some self-reflection. So how do you tell the difference between a healthy trait and a trauma-driven one?
Well, I think, like we were talking about before, where does it root? Like, where's the root of the trait? Like, where does it come from?
Hmm.
What is your reasoning behind doing it? When you're an overachiever, are you overachieving because you want that sense of accomplishment? You have gratitude for yourself and you're overachieving because you want to do better and you have a certain goal you want to get to, or is it because like I mentioned, it's rooted in proving your worth. So, like, you feel like you always have to prove your worth. So, you overachieve, and that's how it makes you feel worthy.
Uh-huh.
So, to me, that's the trauma driven one, where the healthy driven overachiever is overachieving because they already feel worthy. They have that sense of worth, but they want to achieve more. It makes them happy. They want that.
Not for recognition, but for their own self-worth.
Right. And it's not like if they don't overachieve, then they're going to feel like crap or they're not going to feel worthy.
Hmm.
It's just another. set of goals or another level that they want to push themselves into. They're motivated.
Uh,
People pleasing, like you just said, there's a line between people pleasing where you're just giving, 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 and
yeah.
everyone's taking, 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 or it's an act of kindness and selflessness, and that's just part of your personality and a healthy trait to where
Yeah.
it's not at your own detriment.
I love that. I love the pushing yourself as part of the overachiever because I think you have to push yourself, but you shouldn't do it for recognition. I think that's where it becomes a trauma-driven one where people have to recognize how much you've done or
Hmm.
whatever. Those are, like I said, those are the worst people to work for or work with. But the I think that's a great answer with people pleasing. Uh, hmm.
And like hyper independence. So, I can't, you rely on no one because when you've relied on people in the past, they've hurt you.
Hmm.
Well, I think you can be hyper independent in a healthy way and just be someone who likes to accomplish their own tasks or
Yeah.
they get a sense of, gratitude or not
Yeah.
gratitude, but like
Self-satisfaction.
yeah, that they've
Right.
done something, they like doing things for themselves, they're content with themselves.
Well, yeah.
They like the independence,
Right.
but if it's hyper independence because I have this trauma and this fear that I cannot rely on anyone, and if I do, I'm going to get let down. So I'm just going to be super hyper independent. That's a trauma response.
Yes,
It
that's a
comes down to
fear,
the root
and
cause, I
yeah,
think.
I couldn't agree more. The fear of being let down or fear of abandonment. Yeah, that was one of the things that I talked to you about when we first got together is my independence, my hyper independence, we'll call it. But I had been single and on my own with my daughter for so long. I told you, I said, I don't need you. I want you. I can do all of this on my own.
Right.
I don't want to, but I can,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the healthy versus unhealthy, I think, lies. You
Yeah.
can be independent, and being independent is good to an extent, but being hyper independent because you're fearful of other people or feel fearful of relying on other people, I think that's where it kind of has that
Mm-hmm.
fine line.
Do you think most people ever figure out the difference between the healthy and the trauma response?
You got to really want to figure that out. I think, like I said before, the way that I figured it out was through my own therapy and my own uh, investigation and research into my trauma and how to heal from my trauma and some of that trauma response. So, do I think most people ever figure out the difference? I can't say. Do you?
I think people will figure it out more now just because mental health is such a hot topic, I guess you could say, and people are focusing more on it now than ever before. And
Hot topic. That's a hell of a store.
yeah, I don't know how that store helps your mental health, but it's just talked about a lot more now. And so I think it's easier for people to understand the difference between the two. There's a lot more education about it. I know I didn't know anything about trauma responses until I started therapy. And the only reason I started it was for self-reflection. Why am I the way I am? Why do I keep doing these things? Why do I keep putting myself in these situations? Why can't I get myself out of this?
Yep.
Like the whys of me. So the more people have self-reflection and the desire to self-reflect and figure things out about themselves and be honest
Yeah.
with themselves, then it will be easier to tell the difference. But initially, I mean, unless you're looking, I don't think you would just automatically know,
Right. Yeah, you've got to want
this is a
to.
trauma response.
Yeah, you've got to want to, and you've got to understand what you went through to understand your trauma response. With your history of being in narcissistic relationships or relationships with narcissists and maybe more mentally abusive versus physically abusive. Do you think that has changed your trauma responses from maybe your childhood? Or do you think that you always have one trauma response from the time, your childhood till adulthood?
Such a great question, honey. I looking back on my childhood, I know where my two trauma responses started.
Hmm.
I know where they started. My freeze started from a very young age, very young age. And not because anyone was yelling at me, but because I could hear my parents fighting and screaming with each other.
Okay.
And I know that's where that one started. That's why I don't do well with relationship screaming and fighting.
Yeah.
I just
And
don't.
rather than interjecting, you would just lay in your bed and
Right.
okay.
And
Makes
then
sense.
the fawn, the people pleasing, I think came from when I was in high school, my first relationship, like first boyfriend that I lost my virginity to. And after a month or two, he had to move to a whole different state.
Yeah.
And then he broke up with me in a very traumatic way to a 16-year-old. And I cried for a while. And then afterwards, I remember telling myself, like, I'm not doing this. Like, we're not going to sit here and boohoo and cry, which I feel like now looking back up was really fucking mature of myself at
Very.
that age to tell myself that. But it still, I think, triggered a very big fear of abandonment and rejection in me.
Mm.
And then, like, I don't remember the time frame of when he came back into my life, and then we started talking again, and we kind of had a tumultuous relationship, as I
Oh,
think
he
probably
he moved back from wherever he left to.
yeah, but he contacted me before he moved back, and we started talking before he even
Mm.
moved back.
Yeah.
And there was, um, times in our relationship too where I knew he was sleeping with other people, and um, then towards the end of our relationship, I started seeing somebody else. But
What's that
I think
Britney
that,
Spears song? Toxic.
uh,
Jesus.
yes, but I think that's where that because that was so. I just remember that was so devastating for me,
I'm sure.
and it hurt so bad. But
Was that your first love?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we dated from the time I was 15 to when I was 18, with short bits of
Yeah.
you know uh, breakups in there. Obviously, that first one.
You did the old hit and quit and dipped out.
Not exactly, but kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it was pretty for me, I feel like it was very traumatic, and I remember, and it has to be because it's one of those things that it's like a core memory. I mean, I
Hmm.
remember being so upset. I remember crying, and I remember the amount of time and how sad I was, and I remember telling myself, like, get up, we're not doing, like,
Yeah.
I'm not letting. And from that moment on too, it triggered something in me to where if you're my partner and you make me cry, I feel very angry towards you, and I feel like a resentment that I've learned to understand what that is now, but before
Yeah.
that was like it was
What's
like a
that?
hit in the face.
Yeah. What's that saying? Make her pussy wet, not her eyes.
The what? No, she says it about the guy. She says,
Make his dick hard, not his life.
yeah, and then he make your pussy wet, not your eyes.
Yeah. I
Uh,
remember my first love back in high school also. Very similar situation, but we were together, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, and she got sent to boarding school.
She was a
So
bad girl.
she,
You like them
they
bad
always
girls.
love the crazies. They
Yeah.
just always,
Where it started.
they always flock to me. I don't know
Except me,
why.
I'm not crazy.
Yes, totally.
I'm not.
It's that crazy hot scale, babe. But so she got sent away to boarding school, and the whole summer, I think she was gone like 7 or 8 months. She was gone for the summer,
Hmm.
a little bit into, I guess it would have been my senior year. And when she came back, we got back together, and then it was that first love of then she cheated on me. She called and I had went out with my boys and we were hanging out and then she called me when I got home. And back then we didn't have cell phones. I mean, this is back in back in the Stone Age days, you know. It just so she calls me on the house phone when I get home and she wouldn't hang up and I'm like, I gotta go. Like I'm going to bed. And so then she broke the news that she had hung out with this boy and had messed around with him. And I mean, just broke my heart. And then she said she was going to kill herself. And she told me that she took a bunch of pills. So I call the cops. Cops come. They put her in a nut house. They put her in the mental hospital on a 48-hour suicide hold. And we never talked again. That was the last time that her and I ever spoke. And I don't know, that really, like you said, one of those core memories that my trauma response, some of it came from that too. My, like you said, you have two of them. I think my flight mode, when shit gets crazy, I'm out. When when your crazy is at 10, that's when my flight mode kicks in. I'm like,
She actually did take the pills, or do you think she said that as a attempt to keep you because you told her it was over because she,
oh no, she lied. Yeah, she didn't take them because they would have had to pump her stomach and all that stuff. And yeah,
well,
no,
I
it
bet
was
she wasn't expecting you to call the police and her end up in the, she was like, shit,
probably
this
not.
didn't work out
I
how
didn't.
I wanted it to. She didn't try to contact you afterwards?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I don't know. She was already out of school by then because she had graduated because of boarding school. So when you go to boarding school, you are in, I don't know, I think we were in like 10th grade or something at the time. And she did 10th, 11th, and 12th all within the 8 months or 9 months of boarding school. So she was graduated, so she
Mhm.
didn't come back to our high
And
school.
you didn't want to accept her apology or give her another chance. This is you can answer the question.
My best friend didn't like her, and so it wasn't going to happen.
I always I don't know if I want to say the word jealous, but I always find it like how people just can't give other people chances. Like you mess up, you cheat, and the other person's like, or even not just cheating, but like doing something to end that upsets the other person. They're like, you don't get another chance, you're done, and they just leave. I'm like, how do you just do that? Like that was ne that's something I have always struggled with not giving people the benefit of the doubt and not giving second chances at times when I should not have. Like I'm sure there's times I did and and then it worked out and it was justified, but there are so many times I've given people second chances or I've
Right.
like and other people can just let go and be like, "Oh no, you fucked up, you're done." I'm like, "Damn, how do you do that so easily?" Like,
When you realize that that is who they are, that that personality trait is not going to change. And in this girl's case, it was the level of crazy that I just wasn't willing to put up with.
see, and I think my fear of abandonment is what is what allows me to give people second chances and always try to give people the benefit of the doubt because I don't,
Yeah.
it's that, I
Yeah.
think it's still that trauma that happened when I was 15. And,
It's
I don't want people to leave me.
yeah.
And so I want to believe them. And so I want to give them a second chance. And I want to believe because I know for a fact I've been lied to and I've been the gullible one and they've said they're bullshit and I've not forgave them, but gave them a second chance when I shouldn't have, looking back on it now. But it's like, how do you so easily know when someone is being honest and someone is full of shit? Because some people are very good at manipulating,
Somebody, some people are very good at lying and
and yeah.
manipulating. When it comes to your children or maybe your spouse, somebody you've been with, like we've been together 3.5 years or whatever, I, you would know when I was lying and I would know when you were lying just because we know each other's personality. But somebody just random on the street,
Well, yeah, but even so you say, yeah, you would know if I'm lying, I would know if you're lying, but I was in relationships where I know now, and I think I did at the time, I just didn't want to believe it.
your naivety,
Naivety?
naive,
Is that what?
yeah,
Naivety?
yeah, that
The
kicked
native
in.
scene with Jesus. Nativity
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
Nativity scene.
Your nativity scene kicked in and it didn't allow you the evil
Mhm.
spirit
Yeah.
to
I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but it was a good one. But I know specifically that's where those two trauma responses for me come from. And the fawn has just progressed over time because of that fear of abandonment, fear of
Yep.
rejection, and
And I think it's crazy how one part of your life can take such a big toll on the rest of your life. Your brain just sucks that in and
Mhm.
just never lets go. And it literally affects every relationship
Mhm.
for the rest of your life.
Right. And
Unless you want to change it or you seriously do some work on yourself.
yes, the work on yourself, because those were things I mean, I never even thought about that
Yeah.
until a
Right.
couple of years ago.
Hmm.
And the freeze one, that's not something I didn't understand why I would shut down like that. I didn't understand any of that
And
until a couple of years ago.
and you had to dig into your childhood
Dig
and
into
past
again the
experiences. Yeah.
self-reflection. Why am I the way I am? Why do I feel this way? Why do I act this way? Why do I keep putting myself in these situations? Why can't I get out of these situations? You know?
Do you think it's healthy to change your trauma responses?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, I hope you would.
Yeah.
I don't think you should. Acknowledging them and identifying them is great. So that way you can learn how to not keep going back to them. There's a big difference, like we said, between healthy traits
Right.
and trauma responses. There are similarities between the two, but where are they rooted at and what causes one versus the other?
Yeah. Love it.
Um,
Thanks for joining us today. Listen to us talk about our trauma responses and our past experiences and how they've affected us. If this podcast helped you, drop something in the comment, drop a like, and subscribe to our podcast. That's the easiest way to help us out. All of our socials are linked in the description below, and we'll see you on the next one.
okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you for joining us today. If you learned something and our stories resonate with you, subscribe to our podcast. That's a zero-cost way to support our channel. You can also follow us on Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. They're linked in the description of the episode. We'd love for you to put any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes in the comment section on YouTube. We'll read them all. Again, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your interest. And as always, we remind you to be the best version of yourself. See you next time on the Touch My Health podcast.